Okay, we're live.
Yes.
All right. Hello. I'll give a couple of minutes before people join. Are we working as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We are live now.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Moniz. I'm the owner and artist of Moniz-Artesao silicone cookie molds. And I want to thank Melinda and the frosting creators of San Antonio for inviting me here today to be part of the Sugar Show 2025. I was watching some of the classes yesterday and they're amazing. So I'm honored to be part of this lineup. Thank you so much. I should probably wait. Do you see if there's anybody here?
Yeah, we should wait a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to wait a little bit. I don't know the level of experience you all have with cookie molding, so I'm going to start with the basics and build from there. I do have a couple of, or a few designs that fit the Fiesta theme. And let's see, how much of a delay are we having?
A little bit of a delay.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind when.
Okay. We do have a delay here. I'm not sure why it's quite so long, but it's happening. So as I said, I do have some Fiesta kind of themes here, and all right. So I was just double checking. Is it pretty okay with the delay, or is it?
Yeah, no, we'll be okay. I just wanted to make sure that everything was in shot. That
Yeah,
you wanted
everything's good.
Perfect.
So I don't know, like I said, the level of experience you all have, the people who are joining. So I'm kind of going to do the basics with how to mold, how to work with them, and chat and demonstrate what you can do, how you can use it as a springboard for actual business use or just fun home use. What I like most about silicone molds is that they do so much of the work for you in the first place. They come out fully designed with character and interesting details. So you can skip a lot of the stuff that you might do with just getting your fondant to be three-dimensional. You can already start that with the cookie mold. I'm going to explain a little bit about my cookie molds are food grade. They're handcrafted. I make them all myself. They're designed by me and made by me. They are flexible. Now some of you might be more familiar with fondant or gum paste molds and have used those in the past. The technique is similar. You press the fondant or the cookie dough into the mold and then you peel it off. However, the difference being that fondant and gum paste molds are much more shallow, and they also are a more flimsy material. So they don't really take as well to cookie dough, which is a stiffer kind of material. So these have what is called a higher durometer, and that just means that they have more oomph to them and they can handle the stiffness of a dough. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start molding. I'm going to get these out of the way. Like I said, I have these are some Fiesta themed ones, but I have a lot of other ones I'm going to use as well, because I would have way too much time left over if I just did these Fiesta themed ones. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Move Frida out of the way. What I like to do is dust my mold with flour. The silicone mold doesn't usually like to stick to dough, but just in case, if the dough has gotten soft, if it's hot outside, humid, sometimes it likes to live in the crevices and doesn't want to come out as easily. So I like to use flour. Sometimes I use powdered sugar. However, powdered sugar can leave a little bit of a gloss, almost like a sugar glaze on cookies after, and I often don't want that. So I usually use flour. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this little gnome guy. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the dough that is used too. But first we're just going to place it in here. Press it, and then use my favorite handy dandy secret, not so secret weapon. This is a little mini palm-sized mug, and this works wonders for saving wear and tear on your fingers and on your hands, especially if you're doing lots and lots of cookies. So this is a lifesaver. I use this to press the dough into the mold. It presses it nice and evenly too, more evenly than your fingers could do. You can see I'm also holding the sides of the mold as I'm going, because it helps to keep the integrity of the width of the mold. So, and now you can remove the excess with your fingers or with a knife. I like to clean up the edges. Gives them nice clean sides, so you don't have a lot of overhang. And then give a nice little squeeze to the mold. You can see how it comes away a little bit when I do that squeeze, comes away from the sides. We like that. Okay, now you keep the dough part flat against the surface and peeling up and away. You want to just keep your fingers and your thumbs just along the outside edge. I'll show you. You see this outside edge is nice and strong. So you want to keep your fingers on the outside edge as you peel it up and away from the dough. You don't want to press your fingers into the middle, because you can distort the image that way. So there you go. Oops, it's a little gnome right there. And if you didn't like how it turned out, see that foot, I didn't get that foot as well as I'd like, you can just do it again. It's very forgiving in that sense, so that you don't like it, just do it again. And you got to remember, like with anything, you want to give yourself a little grace when it comes to a learning curve. You want to give yourself a few times before getting into the groove. And you will. You'll get in the groove pretty soon. You know, you might think, oh, this is just taking too long. And then all of a sudden you're like banging them out. And like I said, it's fully formed guy. So I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to do a few more. Now, when it comes to the dough that you're using, you want to use a dough that's meant for cookie molding. So what that means is something that's going to hold the details during baking. And with all you cookiers out there, the chances are that you have a recipe that's very close to working with something, with cookie molding, because your dough right now, you don't want it to be expanding and losing its shape and losing those nice sharp edges when you're, after you've done a cookie cutter. So it's the same idea. Your recipes might work. You might need to tweak them a little bit so that it doesn't lose any of that detail while baking. All right, use my handy dandy thing again. Just pressing it in there. And if the dough starts getting sticky, it's already getting like warm in this room, you also can powder dust your mug to keep it from, sometimes it wants to stick to the mug. Yep. Okay. Again, cleaning up the edges. A little squeeze. And there we have a little baby. So instead of having to make this whole thing out of royal icing, you can work from this to build on with your royal icing skills. But it's all said and done right here. You can just decorate it as it is, and I'm going to show you some decorating options in a bit. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm doing it several different ones. I know they're kind of like all over the place, or they will be all over the place, because there's so many different things to do with them, and I want to give you a versatile look at the different options you have with the designs. I'm going to use a dark dough this time. And when I use a really dark dough, this is not quite black cocoa, which I love black cocoa. This is a kind of an in-between. It smells so good. I use, to dust the mold, I like to use a blend of cocoa powder and flour. That way I don't have a lot of white remaining when I take the mold off. Usually that dissipates in the oven, but just in case, especially if you're using a really black dough, sometimes it can be a little persistent. So this is a dark, like a brownie recipe. As I was saying, you might have recipes that work really well for this already and don't have to venture into an unknown area of recipes. But should you want to try some, you can use any of the recipes I have on my website. They're all for free. They've been tested. Or you can just play around with yours if you have a favorite one that you just can't part with. Just might need to mix up the ratios a little bit. You definitely don't want it to spread, because that kind of defeats the purpose, right? Okay. There we go. Did the little squeeze. Yep. And again, lay it flat. Peel it off a little at a time. Keep your fingers outside the outer edge. And there. We've got a basket. You don't have to do all that weaving yourself. You can just decorate it. And this is one of the more versatile molds. I'm going to show you a few things you can do with this mold. I'm going to keep it over here for now. And let's see, I'm going to do this one here, because this, I'm going to do one or two more of this, and then I'm going to show you some pre-baking decorating ideas. All right. And I'm showing you this one because this one, again, this is a very versatile mold. It doesn't look like it is, but you'd be surprised. Oops, I did not dust my mold. Probably would have been fine, but I'm trying to be good here. Lead by good example. So, put that in there, get that black out of there. Make sure there's no black on the outside of the mug, the cookie. Alright, pressing this in here. Like I said, this is a surprisingly versatile design. And I will show you, I'm trying to do the ones that are versatile so that you can get an idea of, just like you can often use cookie cutters for several different themes, like those guess the design thing where you kind of make the design out of this cookie cutter. You're not quite sure what it is, but this is a play on that. You can use it for a lot of different kind of holidays just by tweaking things here and there. Small tweaks or major tweaks. Okay. And this is snowflake. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things before I go on and decorate any mold any more. Put this over here. Decorating is you can do it before or after baking. You can do a little, you can do a lot. I'm in the school of less is more usually, because I like the design to shine through and not overwhelm it. Sometimes if you have too much going on, you don't know where to look and it gets a little bit much. But to start off really simply, like say with this baby, I like to use candy balls or non-Perils. They're candy balls too, but they're very, very small ones. And I used to be able to find them all the time, the whites and the blacks, in jars. Like PME used to have them, Cook's Country, I can't remember the full name. Anyway, and more they're making the sprinkles not oven safe, which is not conducive to what we're doing here. So you have to find old school kind of candy balls, the ones that used to be on cupcakes and stuff. So things like this Wilton mix, these are great because you can get the whites for the eyes or the dark purples, and sometimes there's black in there too to use for eyes. Or sometimes you get lucky. I was at Jewel last season, and they had, at Jewel is our local supermarket, and they had this Halloween mix that has really great black ones in there. So sometimes it's hard to source a whole bunch of blacks, so you have to look and pick them out of other things. And like I said, I have used purples before. You can't really tell. All right, what did I do? All right, let me get, oh, there it is. So in this case, I'm just going to decorate, pre-bake decorate this mold by using the little eyes. And I think I'm also going to put them in the bunny rabbit. I like to use the nonpareils a lot too because, well, I can't do this with holding something at the same time. Oops, Susan. There we go. I like the nonpareils because they never seem to melt. I've never had an issue with them. Once in a while, one will bleed a little bit, but I've never had them melt in the oven ever. So those are great, and they look really good for eyes too. Let's see if we can find one with eyes. With the, it's this little Santa has small nonpareil eyes, so you can see that those look fun too. All right, so I'm going to put this guy aside and show you that's a pre-baking decoration method. Another pre-baking and kind of an off way of thinking of decorating is using the negative space of the mold. So what you want to do, instead of thinking about laying something on top, is using that concave area that the mold sits on. So in this case, I'm going to use these silver accents. And this is just an example of using that negative space, but it can be done in a lot of different designs. So you just put it in there, and you can decide how much you want. If you want to do every little space, then you kind of clean it up as you go. You can also use some of the hard candy balls. I don't know how well this is, you can see the details, but this adds a nice little flourish to it, and I have a finished. Yeah. So after baking, you know, it looks like that. So using the negative space is a great way to decorate before baking. Another example of that is, where is that one? Well, this birthday one does it that way too. Uses the negative space, and then you can just paint the actual words. This was also used as a cake topper. Alright, so I'm going to get this one out of the way. This one also has, like I was saying, this one's pretty versatile, so I have more to show you with this one. Put it down here. Alright. Well, let's see here. I'm going to get this stuff out of the way. Okay, now post-baking, there's a plethora of ways to decorate. I usually will use luster dust or meringue powder paint. Luster dust, I'm sure most of you are all familiar with luster dust and pearl dust. Meringue powder paint is something I've been using for years. It is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's meringue powder mixed with water and food coloring. And it's really up to you, the color palette that you want to use. This is a bunch that I have here that I mixed yesterday. And it's quite vibrant. Get that off of that. And works really well on these kinds of cookies. The caveat is it doesn't work, I don't believe, well on royal icing because it's a water-based. So it kind of makes sense that might break down that the shell of royal icing. So I think you want to avoid that. But it works great on cookie molds. If you want to use it on black cookie molds or dark ones, you need to add a little bit of white to it. Turns it into a slight pastel, but that's how it needs to be in order to be seen on a dark black cookie. But this is an example of meringue powder paint that works really great. I'm going to show you how to use this. You just want to make sure when you use meringue powder paint that it is nicely dissolved. That's why I did it yesterday. The longer it sits, the more pigmented it gets. So I'm going to go ahead and use the... Okay, I'm going to mix that up just to get it nice and mixed. And also you want to, you can add water periodically. Sometimes it evaporates, the water evaporates, the meringue powder will absorb the water, so you periodically you need to add more liquid to it. So in this case I'm going to show, this is a baby that's been baked, and I'm going to show you the combination of using meringue powder paint and sprinkles. You can use luster dust and sprinkles, it just either way, or just luster dust or just meringue powder paint. I like to use both. It really makes it pop, and it's sparkly. So who doesn't like sparkly? So I'm going to go ahead and get a brush over here. It's a good brush. All right. And I also want to show you the what can be done to tweak. A lot of these molds can be tweaked, just like I was saying that snowflake can be modified, it can be adjusted, and I'm going to show you what you can do with that. This is another one that can be slightly tweaked so that you can, if you're so inclined to use it for a gender reveal, and you want to go, you know, kind of the stereotypical bow for a girl and no bow for a boy, you can do that by just removing the bow before you bake. It doesn't take much. I will show you with the one that I molded a moment ago. So here we go. I'm gonna now, usually luster dust will dry right away, so you need to re-moisten it before you put sprinkles on. This often will stay moist enough not to have to worry about that. Oops, didn't want to get on his foot, but I did. Okay, just get in here. So you see, it's got nice coverage. This one, this pink, I added a little bit of white too, just to lighten it up, to give it, since that's classically the baby thing, to have it be a pastel. Add a little bit to the bow. Where's that little? There we go. Now, if this is still wet, which, let's just make sure it still is wet everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and just lay the sprinkles on top, because that will give it something to adhere to. Okay, where's the pink? There's the pink. Nice and bright. The painting underneath really makes it pop even more. You can just do the sprinkles without painting underneath. I just like the additional coverage it gives. And oh, there we go. And I usually like to be more careful, let it set before I move it around too much. But there you go. And you can go back and color those buttons if you want, or leave them that natural color. You can. I'm going to add a little, oops, where is little paintbrush. I'm going to make her blonde, add a little bit of yellow, and as well as paint the binky. You can paint the bunny, but I like keeping the bunny the natural color of the cookie to contrast the rest of the color all around it. Like I said, sometimes you need to be more selective as to where you and how much you paint, I think, on a molded cookie. Of course, you need to add a little blush. Every baby deserves a little blush. Okay. And this is just, I like to blush with the luster dust, as meringue powder paint would be too heavy for me, I think, in this case. So, just a little blush. This mold actually is brandy new. I haven't put her on the site yet. So she's not there yet. And then you can also, if you want, just color the bunny nose. Alright, so there you have that one with meringue powder paint and the sprinkles. Now there's a contrasting one right here, I shouldn't say contrasting, it's not contrasting, it's just another method. This is the same idea, it has the paint underneath, but this has flock on it. So if you know how to use flock, it's basically wafer paper that's been pulverized, and in this case I put powdered food coloring, super color I think it was, no, Suncor, I think it was, I used Suncor, and to color the flocks. Flocks. You know what I mean. So, and this one I like because it gave it like a fuzzy, looks like a fleecy onesie. But on this theme of the baby, this is what you can do to tweak it if you'd like. I gotta find my little knife. Before it bakes, you just want to go in and remove the bow. It's really simple. Now you can keep the little curl, or you can take the curl off and make it a real baldy baby. And you take something like the smooth end of a spoon, go like that, and there you got no bow. And it looks more like this guy here. So that's a little tweak you can do. And that works with, where is it? With the little companion, which is the one, the baby in a diaper. Same thing. Took off the bow to get to be able to give you a little variety. I'm going to put these guys back over here. And put this guy over here. Going on to decorate, let me see, should I tell you a little more tweak? Yeah, that whole bow thing, that's pretty basic with any kind of the molds that I have. If there's a bow on something, you can leave it on, take it off, move it, like I did here with this Easter bunny. There we go. So it comes like this. This is the design, but you can just remove the bow and move it up and just for a little change to make it look different. So that is pretty much what's one of the good things about cookie molds, is that before you bake, you can do a little of your own artistic molding of it and change it up to a certain degree. Which is really helpful for those times when you don't have the exact thing you want, but you want it to be closer to the ballpark of what you were looking for, and all it takes is removing a bow or something like that. Okay, let me get this out of here. All right, I wanted to show a little bit more of the versatility of some of these. Now we molded the, I'm going in here. We molded the gnome, and this is a baked version of the gnome. Now, typically, I can just paint it in, whatever greens or blues or foresty things I want, but I can also mock it up as for Valentine's Day. And this was a matter of just changing the color hues, just like you do with your cookie cutters. You have a gnome cookie cutter, you can just adjust and tweak it, modify it for whatever holiday is coming up. Same thing with here. Basically, here I took off the flower and added a little candy heart, used candy melts to secure it on there. If it's safe, if you can put it in the oven, this one you couldn't put in the oven, it would have melted. But yeah, so it's pretty simple. And if you're really great with royal icing, you can take that off and put whatever else you want there, or change up the flower. One of my favorite things to do with this guy is to throw the hat in a totally different direction. And to do that, I like to use one of the mainstays is sugar water for adhering things. Like earlier when I was doing the baby, if that paint had dried, I would then be reaching for my sugar water to be able to moisten the cookie up again so that it will be able to adhere the sugar sprinkles. So in this case, I'm going to do something different. I'm using the sugar water to adhere not sprinkles, but moss. Not real moss. Edible moss. So, I expect many of you have done the edible moss before, which is basically just it's graham cracker crumbs, pulverized or crushed. I like them so that they're still a little bit uneven. And then green food coloring added. So, to do that, first I have to have something for it to adhere to, and that is where the sugar water comes in. It's literally what it is what it says. It's water and sugar to the degree that it's paintable. You want probably more sugar than water so that it's kind of gluey and goopy. I'm going to get rid of this here. And here is my graham cracker crumbs. There's a nice mess here. Good mess. Good job. Gotta play with your food, right? Alright. Now, normally I let that sit for a little bit, but for the sake of today, I'm gonna get out of the way. Actually, I have one done over here, I think. Yeah. So I can show you what it's... So when it's done, he looks more like this. It's a little bit uneven looking. It doesn't look that uneven in the... That's weird. The colors are playing weird tricks in the video. But yeah. So you can just go ahead and paint it in more of that little foresty garden gnome look. Yeah. So he's one that can get changed up quite a bit. He can become a Christmas gnome. He can even become a Halloween gnome. I'm very big on Halloween. I love Halloween way too much. And I think I have more Halloween molds than anything else, but that's besides the point. Okay, so what did I want to do next? Oh, I want to show you, again, the simplicity that it takes to decorate. Here, I made a bee done in that black, that dark dough. And I'm very, very fond of that dark dough because it just looks so smashing with gold and silver. And one of my other favorite things is how easy it is, I'm going to get some more gold, to paint and decorate molded cookies. Because if you want to decorate just the raised area, then you just need to sweep over the top of it often, and that will do the trick. And that's like, it's really simple and effective. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I just used some gold. I'm not brand loyal to anything in my world of cooking, but I really do like the Mayan gold by Oh Sweet Art. It's very, very pigmented and just so bright and beautiful. So I'm going to do that. And then I like to use these sponge brushes. These are awesome. They really do that sweeping effect that I was talking about. Got a little clean there from something. Alright, I'm going to move that out of the way. I mean, look at how that just picks it all up. Just a little light touch, and it totally brings out all the flowers. And that's it. Now I'm going to go back in here and do the little tiny antennae and the feet, just because I don't want to need more alcohol. All right, there we go.
I think the overhead camera is out.
Oh no. Okay. Let's see, how do we do this again? It looks like the overhead camera is out, so we're going to be working on that. How has it been out for a while?
No, just a second.
Okay. So I'm going to show you this way for now until we can get that overhead camera. So this is what I was talking about.
There we go.
It's back? It's back, and we're back. Oops, it's off again.
Oh, we're gonna...
We're back. We're working on it here. So anyway, so you can see in this case how much this really just pops and looks great against the black dough. And that's so not hard. You just have to mold the cookie and then do that sweeping effect with these great little sponge brushes. I use these all the time. I get these on Amazon. Just have to make sure you wash everything really well because they don't come as food safe. You want to really wash everything. You want to wash all of your equipment really well before you use it. Anyway, so that's one of my favorite things to do. Oh, still, no, you want the?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna work on this while I move on to the next. What is my next? Okay. So one of the other things, like I was talking about earlier about the snowflake design, there are multi-purpose uses for these molds. One of my favorite things is, this is one that I molded earlier. That's my place is a mess. And I know you can't see it right now, so maybe I'll go on to the next one. Yeah, I'm going to go into the next multi-purpose one. I did not mold this for you in person, but I'm going to do that now. Is it working?
That, yeah. All right, and we're back.
And we're back. Well, we're back. let me go back to this one then. The one that we had done earlier. It is the snowflake that we had done the negative space. Now that's one way to decorate it, use it for Christmas, whatever, winter holidays. You can even make ornaments out of them. What I love to do with this one though is turn it into a bunch of mini cookies. It's super fast and it's very impressive. So after you mold, and you can add I've added little white balls here before to decorate a little bit more, but minimally decorate. I don't decorate this one hardly at all because it's just got too much going on, and it defeats the purpose to me. Okay, so look at all these little tiny sweet cookies. Aren't those pretty? Now, I've made them numerous times. I've done this, and I will dip them in chocolate and nonpareils, and then have them out on a platter. I should say, I have made the snowflake itself into a bowl by baking it over in a bowl, a glass bowl, and so that it takes the form of the bowl, and then I put dip in that, and then I stick these in the dip, right in the dip, and it looks great. It's really impressive. It makes a great centerpiece for parties, and it's one of my favorites to do because you can bang out a bunch of cookies in no time, and they all look pretty. They all look like you put so much time into them. But you don't have to tell anybody. All right. One of the other ones that I have a blast with that's multi-purpose, multifunctional is, believe it or not, I will show you. I'm not going to show you what it is until the big reveal. I'm going to mold it, and then you can say, what is she talking about? What's so special about that? All right. How are we on time, Isabel?
We are doing well. It is 12:12.
Oh, okay. Good. Good, good, good.
16-ish minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Okay, we're going to mold this one here. Is it shaking the whole thing? Forgive me if I'm shaking the table with the camera on it.
If you want to ask if anybody has any questions, I'm able to help in the comments.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, please reach out. My daughter, Isabel, is manning the computer because I have too many things to reach out, and my brain can't take that on, so she's helping me. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead, let me know. Okay, we're squeezing this, squeezing this guy. Now here you go. Ta-da! It's a squirrel. Yep, and okay, it's a squirrel, it's a fall squirrel. Not just a fall squirrel. Mm-mm. When I do this, if I just want to make it a fall squirrel, I have done it in like a spiced cookie, and I just do a little gold on the acorn and add a little cinnamon sugar on the tail. Or this, in this case, I just added color. The cinnamon sugar one is coming up. So he's really fun for fall. However, he's also really fun for Easter. How did he magically have an egg? What? Well, I will show you. I'm sure you've guessed it. I'm not going to show you how to do the egg, because you've seen that. I'm going to show you how to do another one. I'm sure you can figure it out as I go, because you're smart cookies out there. Once again, modifying the design.
Kathy is asking if we can do the squirrel, if one could do a squirrel in a different color dough, like the darker color for the acorn. Do you have any examples of that?
Yep, I did the, I think I just showed her. This is the, who is that asked?
Kathy.
Kathy, yep. This one is done in the, a pumpkin spice cookie.
Do you have examples of dual color?
And I do. I have, you mean
yes, like
two-tone? I was going to show you, this is a two-tone, which is another thing that you can do with the moles. So this is a sugar cookie with the, I think, a coffee dough. So yes, you can do two tones as well, with a whole bunch of the designs, so that helps change things up as well. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to be adding sprinkles, but you get the idea of what I'm doing here. I've changed that acorn magically into a heart. So now I just paint the heart and add some sprinkles to it, and you've got a Valentine squirrel. And this is the case where I added some cinnamon sugar to the sugar dough on top, added with it, adhered it with the sugar water, and gives it a snickerdoodle kind of taste there. So you can do a lot with this little sucker. There we are. I'm planning on doing a Halloween one. Don't know if he's going to be holding a skull or holding a pumpkin. You know, it's all to the degree, the level of what you're comfortable with. But this is one of those guys that I have a lot of fun with. I'm trying to figure out what to do with him next. Another one of those is this timid little basket. It's so just a sweet little basket. However, you can play with this one a lot too. Do two-tone. I have a two-tone here. Oh, I don't have a two-tone here. But you can do a two-tone by changing the dough in the middle in contrast to the dough that makes the basket. You can also cut out the handle as well. And in here, this is done with some of that graham cracker crumble crust, moss, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the words, and these are just little sugar sprinkles. For you people who are amazing with royal icing, this is where you would shine, I think, because you could add vines and add your own flowers and just kind of make it your own. So this one I like because you can do it for spring, you can do it for Easter, obviously, with Easter eggs. You can pop in there. These are just regular Easter eggs I added after baking, and adhered them with some candy melts, I believe. And then you can use it for Valentine's Day. Where is that brush? Valentine's Day, again, these are just hard sugar sprinkles that I bought, but you can do, you know, whatever moves you. But my favorite, because I am such a Halloween fan, is my basket of eyeballs. Of course, I think it'd be everybody's favorite. So yeah, so you can do a lot with the basket. It's very versatile and fun to do. So you can do two tones, like this is with the black dough. Oh, although I don't have the two tones here, like I said. But and then the bows are just decorated with luster dust. And this has a brushing of, you can probably see that's like a purple luster dust. That really highlights. Whoops! Oh, that one's not baked. That's why it's smushy. Another example of something being versatile, and I do this one quickly, is, where did it go? This design here. Okay, we're going to just quickly get this molded. So you can see how quick the molding actually goes once you get the hang of it and get into the swing of things, and you know the dough is the right temperature. When you take the dough out of the fridge, because most of the doughs I use I like to have chilled, it's just that kind of recipe, so sometimes you have to make sure that the dough has reached that sweet spot, something that's not too stiff and breaking your fingers, and something that's not too soft so that it's too sticky to your fingers and stuff. So here's a home design. This is great for real estate people and for just welcome home. What is it? The word
Housewarming.
housewarming. That's why I have my daughter here. And then and this can stay like that with the word home. Whoops. Or you can just take that off. And this winter I had a lot of fun with this one and used marshmallow frosting. So it was very sticky, but really fun to work with, and it looked really, this was a little old, so it's a little sad looking, but it was very fluffy, and then it really adhered, the sugar adhered to it beautifully. Added some little tiny nonpareils that give that effect of a Christmas colors, red door, and then I added a little thing on the back, to stand on the back, so that it stands up, and made a little village of these. It was so cute. So another mold that can be versatile because you can also decorate it for spring, right? Or colors that you want. I add a little bit more of that moss on the roof. I might try it with coconut to see if it looks like a thatched roof, like you know, just some toasted coconut. I might try that. But yeah, you can totally change this up to fit whatever color combinations you like. So that's another one that's versatile. Oh, and I did want to show you the just like the snowflake that I was showing you earlier. That looks pretty cool when it's in black too. This is the snowflake for Halloween, and I put the spider. I have a spider mold. Put that on top. And it made this just kind of eerie, elegant kind of look to it. Kind of a different look for Halloween. So that was another versatile. What did I do with that other one? Okay, another one that I'm going to show right now. I'm going to mold it in, where did it go? Sometimes they're right in front of me. And I cannot see them. Where did you go? Where did you go? Oh shoot, I really want to decorate them.
Which one are you looking for?
It's a Stars and Stripes. Thought I had it over here. Okay, I will just show it to you then, since I was going to actually do it, but I can't find it. I can't imagine why I can't find anything. It's a mess in here. Okay, so Stars and Stripes is a very basic, versatile design. You can make it look like it's a seashore, 4th of July, more seashore, and even Christmas. Now what you do, as I showed you before, pardon me, is you use the negative space by putting I use some coral colored, beachy, nonpareils. I did that before baking, so I put those in there, and then once it's baked, it stays nice and secure on the cookie. And then I did just some luster dust on the swirls and little water, sugar water on the center of the stars, just the tip part of the stars, and added some coral sugar. So you get something that's very different for many different holidays, and that's just up to your color scheme and what you're inspired to do. So it's again another fun one. Who'd have thunk it? I've got 5 more minutes. Okay, I want to show one more thing. Another fun thing to use is buttercream. I like using buttercream. It's a very elegant, kind of soft, great way to top cakes. This wedding mold is a beautiful choice for that. The buttercream just takes to it beautifully because it keeps all the detail, and less is more. Just add a little tiny bit of decoration. That's all you need to make this have a statement. Again, with the fondant, we made little fondant lambs, and this was using natural food coloring, plant-based food coloring, because it's It's hard to find good plant-based food coloring that's really strong, but it's great for Easter. And so this was Wilton's food coloring that really took to the fondant beautifully. And these are little Easter cakes that the little lamb sat on. And one of the last things I will show you, because I got to go, is you can also turn your cookies into globes. Don't know if you can see that. You just need to use a sphere form. You bake it on that sphere form. You have to use the right recipe so they don't crack. And then you've got these lovely little globes. I think we're done.
Oh, we've got a little bit more time.
Oh, okay. So please let me know if there are any other questions. You can check out my many video tutorials on my home channel, my home website, artesaocookiemolds.com, and the spelling is here. It's also in the information that Melinda has on the site. You can also find all my YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. It's Susan Moniz /Artesao Cookie Molds. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, or in anything. I'm very accessible because I like to hear from people. So I thank you so much. I hope you learned something today, and I appreciate you coming here. Thank you so much. Bye.